Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and welcome to Dear Profiler Pat. This is a channel where I give advice, whether you take it or not. It's up to you. But I'd like to go into depth a little bit with some of the advice I give, so my answers are a little longer than Dear Abby. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Please do check my playlist for all the different areas that I talk about. And if you want me to answer one of your questions, please go and send me an email to profilerpatbrown@gmail.com. Put in the subject line, Dear Profiler Pat, and don't worry, I won't use your name. Okay, so you will be anonymous. And sometimes I try to change up certain things in the email just in case somebody might figure it out who you are. So anyway, today, this is a little complicated, and yeah, I've got some ideas here that I think hopefully will help out the letter writer and many of you who are going to be in the situation no matter what. The letter writer was asking me this question: Dear Profiler Pat, what do I do with my estate and belongings when I die? And we're all going to get there. We keep trying to figure out how to not arrive at the door of death, but apparently all of us fail. So that we have in common. And we have crap. Now, everybody has a different level of stuff. Some people have a lot of money. Some people have a little money. Some people have no money. Some people have a lot of stuff. Some people have not much stuff. Some people have a lot of good stuff. And some people have a whole pile of crap that they're leaving for somebody else to take care of, which isn't very nice. So take care of that now. But I'm going to get into the different issues with what do I do with my estate, if I have one, and what do I do with my belongings. So the letter goes like this: Hi, Pat, big fan of your channels. Oh, thank you. I'm very glad. My channel, Profiling with Pat Brown, is my other channel at this point in time. I've had that for about 4 years. Dear Profiler Pat is a new channel. So I'm glad you like both of them. I do have a real concern about my estate and belongings after I die. It's difficult. This is difficult for me to decide because I am an only child with no husband or children myself. My mother passed in 2020, and she left me with a sizable estate with stocks, real estate, and the home I grew up in. So you don't have any brothers and sisters and no kids and no husband, so it's all yours. Your mother left it to you. And I would say you're in at least the fortunate part of you seem to have enough income to survive the rest of your life, which is, can't complain about that. You are in your 50s, your late 50s, but in your 50s, and I wish I could go back another 10 years and be your age. But, we keep going higher and higher. Anyway, you've got some time, possibly, that you're going to be on this planet. So the question is, how soon do you have to figure it out? And of course, the old answer is you may not be here tomorrow, so you should figure it out today. And that is always true. We don't know how long we're going to be here. So you could only be here a few years, but you could also be here for another 30 years. And that makes things, well, you have to consider both of those issues. And you really don't have anybody to give it to, is what you're pointing out. My mom's estate attorney has asked me to come in and create my will. I have no idea who I want to leave my estate to. So what happened was the mom left her the money and said, look, if you die before I do, I'd like my money to go to St. Jude's. But she did die before you, so now you have all of her money. And apparently in that, when you were given that estate, she did not have a requirement that the money go into a trust for St. Jude's or something. Now, let me just stop here and tell you I am an idiot when it comes to legal matters. So I'm a profiler. I cannot stand dealing with legal matters. I can barely do my taxes. And I've had to deal with attorneys here and there. And not that I don't love you guys, but I don't like your practice. I don't, because it's so expensive, $200 to $300 an hour, and there's no proof of what you actually did for that hour. It's like, oh, I'll say I did this for 5 hours. That'll be $1,500. That'll pay for the. Not saying that you do that, but it's expensive. So anytime you bring an attorney in, you are going to be spending a lot of money. So any way you can, so I can't tell you what you should do. Now, you do not seem to have an issue with being broke. So you're going to find it easier to maybe say, okay, if I have to put out so much money, so many thousands to get this attorney to write up, my estate and will, so be it. Other people are like, yeah, I can't even do that. I can't afford it. And I have no, you're going to have to figure that out. Contact people who know stuff, Google, because I got nothing for you. What I can advise on is how you might want to think through what you want to do with what you have, so that you have this peace in yourself that you're not wondering, who should I give it to? What if I don't do anything? What should I do with the money now? What do I do? I'm better at that. But the legal stuff, you can go someplace else. It's not going to happen here. So you got an attorney, and thank God for that. All right. And so you have one issue here where you're talking about, you do have a father who has not passed yet, who's in his 80s, and you're saying that he's not in great health. I don't think it seems like you're not overly close, but you're wondering, should I do something about that? And you're like, I have no super close friends. And some people say, why not? Well, a lot of us don't have, like, some people have like a bestie for 50 years, and other people just have some nice people they know and acquaintances, or even a decent friend, but not somebody you're like, hey, I gotta leave you my entire estate because whatever. So that would be maybe uncomfortable to even do. And that person's like, why would you even do that? But maybe they wouldn't mind if you did that. But so then you're saying, I also love animals. I thought about finding a local animal rescue to leave the estate to, but I'm not active with any of them. Okay, so what's happening is you're thinking of trying to figure out what to leave the money to, but you aren't necessarily connected with those things. And this becomes a major issue as to, should you then leave it to whatever organization you don't even know anything about? My head is just starting to spin. Yeah, I'm with you on that crap. So the attorney said I can make him the executor of my estate and can fulfill my wishes by distributing it to different charities. But what if I outlive him too? Well, there's some methodology in that matter. So I don't know if we have to go to the law firm, or again, I don't do the attorney stuff. So not so great there. Now, 4 issues is what I want to point out. 1, now, you have a reasonable amount of money. Some people don't have quite so much. But the first thing I think people should look at is, should I use some of this money now for myself? Because a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to leave this to all these other people. They don't allow themselves to use the money. So they scrimp and then give all their money away to the kids who then blow it. Should you do that? So first of all, should you spend the money, some money? I'm not saying all of it. Maybe it's your money, but should you spend some of that money on yourself? And in what way should you do that? So in other words, you can be your own benefactor to yourself while you're still on the planet. You might be here for 30 years. Maybe you could use some of that money for something that's important to you. Secondly, should I use that money for other people in my life? And you're saying you don't have any kids, but many people say, well, my kid could use some of this money, or I see things I could do with this money now to help, and I'm going to get into that. Then you get to, should you honor some of your mother's wishes? Because she talked about giving the money to St. Jude. And just because she died before you, does that mean you shouldn't honor any of her wishes? And do you know why she wanted to leave the money, and why she wanted to leave the money, and so on? And then finally, who should I leave it to? If when all of that's done, who should I leave it to? Okay, so let's start out with number 1. Should I give me some money? Should I give myself some money? Now, I am not a spendthrift. But one of the things I have learned as I've gotten older is there are things which are not outrageous. Like, do I need to go out and buy myself, I don't know, a Mercedes, a BMW? Do I need that? I do love sports cars. Should I go out and get, a fancier sports car than my Mazda Miata I bought in 2009. I mean, I like a little small convertible. It's fun. When I bought the Mazda Miata because it was cheap, because I couldn't afford to get myself a Jag or a BMW or whatever, because it was going to be 2 to 3 times as much the money. And I had to look at, was it worth it to me? Now, mind you, if I have $2 billion, that I might have that car sitting in the driveway, but I don't have that much. So what I'm trying to do is, how can I live my life and have things that I enjoy without putting myself in a situation which I can't afford, and it's a little ridiculous. So the email writer, you seem to have a reasonable amount of money. So you might make a decision level like this, and somebody else might make it here. For example, let's say I want to live someplace in the world, and I want to be someplace where I can interact with society, walk down to the market, and all of that. Well, I live in the suburbs, and right now I cannot do that. Where I live, I've got a good deal here. But if I move into Washington, D.C., quite frankly, I can't really afford it. If I move to Paris, I really can't afford it, But let's say I had more money. And I said to myself, I've always wanted to live in Paris. And I know the real estate there is really expensive. But I have this extra money. And instead of just giving it away, maybe I should get myself a small little, beautiful little apartment in a nice area of Paris where I could walk out and immediately I'm at the bakery. If this is something I've always wanted to do, why should I deny myself this if I can do it? No, I personally, I can't afford that. It's just not happening. But if you can afford that, then maybe that's a choice that you can say, hey, I want to do this. Whether one chooses to, let's say, go on a cruise, take a vacation, whatever one decides they would like in their life, I think if it's not unreasonable for you to be able to spend that money, consider that maybe you have the right to spend that money instead of just leaving it to somebody. Okay, I'll give you some small examples. These are very small examples. Okay, this is a bansuri. It's an Indian flute that I'm learning to play. It's way more expensive than a recorder. Okay, it's professionally made. It costs a little bit more than, it's like something you go, should I spend the money? I decided, yes, I would really like to learn how to play the bansuri. And most of it I just learn online, so all I have to pay for is the instrument. I also decided I'm really tired of bad knives. So I bought good Japanese knives. Never regretted this purchase. Great purchase. I love my knives. Now, are they cheaper knives? Sure. But I love those knives. Another thing, I started doing pastels. So I bought these Ludwig pastels. Now, this is how many come in a box. It's over $200. Now, mind you, most people buy pastels or go online at Amazon and they'll get pastels, a whole box for maybe $30. These are freaking expensive. They're also fantastic. And this is part of my pastels here. And I am trying to become a pastel artist. So here are some of the pastels that I have used these quite expensive pastels for. So these are my things. I like lizards, so you got some lizards coming in here. Yeah, and this one rather bugged me. But anyway, I enjoy doing pastel art. I get to do the pastel art. And my classes, which happen to be at the senior center, I have 2 per week, taught by great people, and I get to come in there and I work, and I have these art teachers help me out and give me advice. And the pastels cost a lot, but can I afford them? And the answer is yes, I can. Now, does that mean that I'm going to? I saw this pastel vacation off in Italy, and it was outrageously expensive. And I'm looking at this going, are you kidding me? I mean, so expensive. Now, mind you, if my mother had left what your mother left you, I might be sitting in Italy right now doing pastels in a field someplace. but I don't have quite that much. So this to me is too expensive for me to feel comfortable with. But there are other things you can do for yourself that you can be comfortable with. Like I like traveling, but I feel no need to stay in a 5-star hotel. That's just not my thing. I'm happy in a Airbnb. I love them. But if you have the money and you enjoy a 5-star hotel, bully for you. And, so we have these different levels of money we can spend. Do we need to spend the money on ourselves? We don't need to. But if the amount of money we look at it, we can take a portion of that to make our lives better if we happen to have it. And it can be from here to here, because sometimes if you don't have hardly any money, you might be saying right now, I'd be thrilled if I could buy some walnuts. I mean, that might be what works as a treat for you, but those damn nuts are expensive. So, or cashews are really expensive. You might decide that that's your treat. That's the special thing you're going to give yourself rather than give your money to someplace else. Just saying, it is your money. So you have the right to use some of it for your own happiness is what I want to point out. Because I've seen people and I'm like, why aren't you updating whatever it is? Maybe your computer's crap. And I'm like, I know you got money. Why don't you update that? And they don't. My father had a computer. We kept saying, why does he get something better? And he died and we got his money. I got something better. Dad, why didn't you get something better? You didn't have to leave that for me to get something better. Thank you. But, so, and I thought, maybe you're missing out on things that you could really enjoy. Again, within your own ability. And I'm not a very fancy person. So I don't feel a need to get myself a yacht, a plane. I don't have that kind of money anyway. But I'm just saying, within where you are, is there something you keep denying yourself and then leaving the money to somebody else? That's all I'm saying. So that's the first thing. Secondly, with the money you have now, instead of waiting to give it away when you're dead, if you know you have enough to survive, don't give away your money now and then find out you got to go live in a box under a bridge. I mean, that's kind of stupid, But if you know you've got so much and you've got this other amount you can spend, whether it be, in my case, I have a granddaughter. So, she likes sushi. I buy her sushi and it's expensive sushi. I'm like, don't you like Taco Bell? Apparently not. No, but I had this, I'm not rich, but I have some money. I'm like, I only have one grandchild. So I'm like, okay, I'll buy her sushi. And we have a great time when I buy her sushi. So it's worth it to both of us. And I choose to spend that money now rather than leave it to her after I'm dead. She goes, oh, thanks, Grandma. And then she goes out and does whatever she does with my money. Right. So there are things we can spend money on people now, whether it be treating a friend, whether it be helping a relative. You do have a father who's not in great shape. Maybe it is worth spending some money to make sure that he has a better life right now, whatever that is, whether it be a better residence, whether it be more people to take care of him, whether it be something to just make him happy, maybe they're spending time with him, whatever it might be worth spending. If you have kids that are struggling, there's always a question of, if they're adults, like how much should I keep, handing them out money, and not letting them stand on their own 2 feet. But are there times when you can help them in a way that would be meaningful so they don't keep going, geez, not that I want Ma to die, but, if she did, I'd be in better shape. You don't want them to think that either. So again, nothing is simple. You have to weigh these things out. It's like, should I help now? Should I spend money now on people? Or you point out the dogs. You like animals. Do you have to wait till you're dead for the animals to get money? Or is there something you can do now that would be inspiring to you where you could get more involved? You don't know any animal organizations? Maybe you should find one. Like you saw me, that's my favorite animal, iguanas. Okay, I'm iguana free. Now, I know there's some iguana places in the world where it's like iguana sanctuaries. Now, I might consider, what if I go to visit the iguana sanctuary gives me a trip to another country and something to do, purposeful, call, find out about their sanctuary. Then I can go visit the sanctuary and see what they do with the iguanas. And if I see that they're in need of certain things to help the iguanas, then I feel like, okay, I'll check out your finances, financial stuff here, see if you're not ripping me off and, ignoring the iguanas and spending the money on something else. But if it turns out to be something worthwhile, then it's something I can do now, and I can see the iguanas doing better, and I maybe even can interact with the iguanas. I spent a time where I was supporting some children in India who were poor children, and the money went to them, would give them uniforms and books, and enabled them to go to school, which in a good portion of India, you have to have these things or you can't even go to school. And so I did that. And also got to go visit with the group that supported these kids. I actually visited them and went around from school to school to school. I brought gifts for the children, and I gave speeches, and I got to meet everybody. I got to participate in all these different school things, which is really very cool, because I could be involved in it in some way, that I could see what was going on. And so there's these different kinds of volunteer things which you might like to connect with and then support, or at least, if nothing else, find things that you like, check out the financials. So it doesn't turn out to be like, well, 90% goes to the CEO and they've got 5 houses. If you want the money to go to what it's supposed to go to, you want to check out to make sure that's where the money goes. And so maybe it's a community thing right near you where you actually do know where the money ends up going. Maybe it's a bigger organization, but find out if you're going to give money to the organization, not that necessarily that you have to be, feted and patted on the back and given like awards or something for giving the money, but just so that you feel like the money's being used in a way that you feel like it's doing some good. So doing good for people that could be relatives, doing good for other people, which could be organizations, for animals, whatever it is. Do it now before, don't just leave it. Because once you're gone, you're probably, wherever you're off to, whether you're in heaven or you're just off to whatever you're doing in your next life, you're not going to be paying attention. You're not going to even know what happened. But if you can use it now to support things, as long as you're not putting yourself under by crushing yourself financially to do these things, you're going to have more input, and you're going to get more out of life. And maybe if you do not have family and very close friends, this would be an opportunity for you to make more friends and be more connected. And it could be churches too. People have churches they get their money to, some religious organization they're involved in. There's just so many ways. Maybe scholarships, art organizations, whatever it might be, that just makes you think, now I know I'm doing something good. I know I can see my money being spent in a way that is being useful. That's a cool thing, as opposed to, you have no idea what's happening to that money. You send in a check and it just vanishes into the wind, and you're like, okay, whatever. And they send you back a thing that says, we got your $50,000. Thanks a lot. So I think if you can find a way to spend it now in a way on other people, other projects, organizations, volunteer, whatever it is, you're going to get something. You're going to get some happiness out of doing that, and control. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of control, so that you feel like your money is being used well. And since it's your mother leaving you that money, you can say, hey, Ma, look what I'm doing with your money. I'm doing something cool with it. And that's kind of neat. So first, maybe a little for yourself. 2, for other people while you're still here on the planet. And then 3, okay, what about your mother's wishes? She wanted to leave everything it was St. Jude's. And I'm not going to be here to promote St. Jude's or to say anything negative about St. Jude's, because I obviously know who St. Jude's is. I just don't know much really about how they operate and how they use money and all that. My question is to you: was this something really important to your mother? Was she just picking anything? Oh, okay, St. Jude's. Was this very important to her? If it is, if for some reason it meant something to her, and you look into St. Jude's and you think their financials are good, and you think your money's going to go to really doing something you mother would be thrilled with and that you would be pleased with, I'd say maybe 50% of whatever you got. At least give that to St. Jude's. That was your mom. That was the wish of your mom. So maybe do something like that. If you don't need all 100%, or need to give away 100%, why not give away at least 50%? I mean, you could give away 100% because that was your mother's wishes anyway. So if you don't have any reason to spend too much of it now, you don't know what to spend it on other people or other organizations now, you can just leave the 100% to St. Jude's like your mom is going to, as long as you're comfortable with that. So I would consider your mother's wishes, because that might be a nice feeling that, hey, Ma, you thought this would be good, so this is what I'm leaving. And the fourth one, what about if now you're talking about, you're not going to be here, where do you leave it to? Again, I think you got to pick out something that you feel good about where it goes. And you might have to work at that. It's not easy. I mean, if you had a few kids, you didn't have much money. I got 3 kids and a granddaughter, so that's 4. I don't have a lot of money, but what I've got, they'd split it up 4 ways. Well, they probably could use it. I'd probably just do that. It's just easier because right now I'm spending some money on Life Now. I'm already doing 1 and 2 of these things. I don't have a 3 because my parents didn't have anything they left money to, except us, their kids. So 1 and 2 I'm already doing. 3 I don't have to worry about. 4, well, if I do go, I can see just leaving it to the kids. Now, on the other hand, if I don't want to leave, kids don't watch this thing, but let's say I have an organization I really, really would like. I know they need the money, and I really would like to leave it to them because I just know that after I leave this planet, to know that they're going to take that money that I have and really put it to good use. I might choose that. I could choose that and not my kids or my granddaughter, or I could do 50-50, 50 to that organization, 50% to the kids, or whatever. You're gonna have to figure out, is there something that's important to you? And if there's not anything that's terribly important to you, you might just say 100%, St. Jude's, done. You don't have to stress yourself out over it if you don't want to, because that's your mother at least wanted to go there. So it goes there, and it does good for sick children. So I think you may if you want to work with it, enjoy yourself as you're thinking out, is there something that will make my life better? Is there something to make other people's lives better now? If you enjoy doing that, that's great. And if you enjoy looking at different organizations saying, oh, I love animals. And what I really think is, I like wild horses and they're not getting a fair deal. And you want to help this wild horse organization. And they've been struggling for years, and suddenly they get a check-in. That's, oh my God, you saved our organization. Give it to them now, leave it to them. And just know that money is something you use. It's a tool. It's an exchange system. When you go to work, you exchange your efforts, and they give you something to be able to give to somebody else for their efforts. And it's a whole big fat exchange system. So over worrying about it sometimes is just don't leave it to the state if you can avoid that, or let the lawyers take all the money. So those are what I think. So on those issues, the last one is belongings. Okay, what do you do with all those belongings? Oh my God. The question really is there anything that you have that is so incredibly special that you feel a need that a particular person gets that? And if the answer to that is no, then you don't need to waste your time with it. You just leave that to the lawyer and say, send an estate person out. You want the estate sale people? Let them have it. Now, my opinion, as we get older, it really is nice if we get rid of tons of our crap, so that, like, I don't really want my kids, if I kick off tomorrow, they come in and go, oh my God, no. Because believe me, my parents, they did downsize, but my God, I still have stuff from that I haven't dealt with from my parents' deaths. And because there was so much stuff. So my 2 sisters and I, we had to figure that there was their whole apartment. and all the furniture and all the stuff they had in there, and then the stuff that was in storage and the stuff that was photos and the stuff that was, oh my God. And now I've got that stuff and I'm like, no, I didn't want to deal with it. My kids have to deal with it. But of course, there's things that you feel bad about just tossing out because they're family heirlooms or they're whatever. So my thing is, if you can, get rid of as much as you can and just keep the special, very special items that make your life happier, so that you don't have a ton of crap overwhelming you and making you miserable. Why do that? Why not have a life where you can look over at a shelf and just see a couple items that you make have some meaning to you, and have some paintings on the wall that has some meaning? Only keep the best of the best, and therefore when you walk to your house, you're going to feel light and happy, because you're not sitting in a big trash dump. So that's something I think every one of us needs to. The United States is crazy. I mean, and I would say an awful lot of countries are similar. I have been in places in the world, like in Mongolia. If you go into a ger in Mongolia, which is also known as a yurt, there's not much in there. They got some couple beds, they got the cooking thing, and they have this one like almost like an altar, and they have a few family pictures on it, maybe Buddha or somebody sitting there. That's it. But they move a lot, so they don't have stuff. And oh my God, it feels so relaxing. And yet we, in a lot of, in our countries, we have houses filled with junk. We have 5-bedroom house. We only live in 1 bedroom. The other 4 bedrooms are junk. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane. It's just too much stuff. If you can get rid of that stuff, you'll free yourself up. So stop waiting till you die. Free yourself up from junk. Give yourself something. If you're going to spend the money, only spend it on something that's really worth it for you. Whether it be travel, or whether it be having a hobby like I do with pastel art. Whether it be working with an organization where you can see good things come of it. Live for now as much as you can to make your life good. And once you that would help. Right now, you get rid of all the junk. But if you don't have special people to give it to, call the estate, tell the attorney, just have the estate people come through. They'll box up the stuff. They'll figure out, oh, this is something nice. They'll sell it to somebody who actually wants it. You can know that people are going to be happy getting the special things, because at least those people know what the difference is between total junk and something that has some worth. And the one last thing I want to point out is my Aunt Lily, who was actually not my aunt, but I call her Aunt Lily. When she died, I went to her. It was she had a memorial service in New York City, and the thing that the relative did, which I thought was brilliant, was she had a little book when you came in. She said, write down if you have an item or two that you would like from Lily, write it down. And what was fascinating was, since we weren't in her New York apartment, you couldn't see the stuff and say, oh, I want that, and that. And you didn't even, it wouldn't matter if it's hers or not. You just want to take it because you see it. You had to remember it had a meaning. So I wrote down what I wanted. I said, she had a little silver cigarette case. She old Roost Roll owned cigarettes. And I'm not a smoker, but I love the silver cigarette case. And the ashtray. There's a special ashtray. And those two things meant something to me. That was Lily. And so when I brought them home, I made a little altar-y thing to her. And I saw another person put, I want her cat mat. There's some kind of embroidered mat that the cat used to sit on. That was what she remembered. Somebody said, I want this book from her shelf, because that's what they remembered. And so people got to, if they could remember it, they could ask for it. And then once those people got those things, they just got rid of the rest of it. So I think that was pretty cool. So if I passed away and my kid said, okay, without going to mom's house, what do you want? Do you remember? And one of them says, I want her charcoal drawings over the sofa. I want mom's whatever. If you can't even think of it, it really isn't that important to you. So that's a cool thing to do. But if barring all that, then just ask them, just say, when I pass away, just have the estate people come in and just empty out the place. You're not here to use it anymore. Move it along. I think we don't take enough action. We're not proactive with with our money and our belongings sometimes, and we just keep letting time go by, and we just because it's a pain in the butt. It's exhausting. You say, I'll get to it next year. I'll get to it next year. And one day you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I'm 88 years old and I haven't made a will yet, and my house is full of crap. and I didn't get to do it. Just realized I wish I had gotten orchestra seats because I had this extra money, and now I'm just leaving it to my crappy niece and nephew who are drug users. Why didn't I go get some nice orchestra seats and go see something and truly enjoy it because I wasn't up in the nosebleeds? Why didn't I take that vacation? Why didn't I do the few nice things that I really, really would have enjoyed doing? Or why didn't I do something with my money while I was alive? Why do I just leave it? Why don't I use it now to help people and organizations, whatever I'm interested in? Why don't I do that now? Why don't I get rid of my stuff now and not leave it to everybody else? So that's my thinking on the subject. I hope it helps you. And hey, put all your ideas down below because it's a tricky and very big subject. And as far as the legal stuff, you can feel very free to contribute to that because I've got a clue. So anyway, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Again, subscribe to the channel and check all the different playlists and some of your questions. I'll check you next time. Bye.